Here with Brockport Golden Eagles football head coach Jason Mangone. Jason, thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely.
So we haven't sat down in a couple weeks, so rewinding, in that Buff State game, what did you like about the way the team came out, energy, effort, execution-wise, in those first couple drives?
Yeah, I think effort was great. Energy was there. The want to was there. Execution was there for the most part, but, there were some things that we would have liked to have had back. When you get 3 touchdowns called back, that's brutal. And the things that we did to get them called back, you'd like to have not happen, even in an early game. But there's so many unknowns in game one. Some guys that have started for the first time and kind of just getting used to being out there. It's one of these deals where we only get 10 of these. And it's hard to simulate your sport in practice because of the physicality. So you've got to be very intelligent how you practice. This is not basketball where you can go play your game. Now, the energy level may be different in practice compared to a game, but you're playing it the same way on Tuesday as you will on a game on Friday. We can't do that. So there are some things that you're just like hoping that go well that unfortunately for us did not. So the outcome was in our favor, but certainly not how we would have liked to have played as a whole.
And so that Buff State team showed up in a way that in the last couple of years they hadn't, especially in that first half. As a coach, what are the differences between playing an opening game where, like last year where you have your way in the first half, whereas this year things were a lot more difficult in that opening?
Yeah, and we anticipated that from the standpoint that Buff State was a lot of returners. They didn't graduate many guys. The talent level is getting certainly better over there. So we knew we were going to be a little more of a dogfight this year than we were in the past. And so we were prepared for that, certainly. But again, when you play some guys that have not been at it for a while and some that have started for the first time, nothing came easy. And a lot of that was credit to them, and then some things that we unfortunately didn't do on our end. So I do like how the kids, finished the game. Certainly the last 2 weeks we've done a great job in the fourth quarter, but we can't wait till the fourth quarter.
Here with Brockport Golden Eagles football head coach Jason Mangone. In that Buff State game, Daniel Manna burst onto the scene and then followed up with an award-winning performance against Susquehanna. What are the best things that he brings as a weapon?
Level-headedness. He's just the most down-to-earth kid. He's quiet, unassuming in the sense that he's not going to be brash and make all these gestures that you see some guys do when they make a good play. He just wants to go out and get better, and it's very refreshing to have a young man come in first semester with us that not had the familiarity of our offense and play so well so early and make huge plays for us. So, it's things that we've been looking for, to have a multitude of receivers be able to make plays, and I think we're finally getting ourselves to that standpoint. So, but he's been a fresh air for us in the sense of just goes out and plays every snap like it's his last.
Chase Soper was a signal caller that we didn't expect to see, and he got some really early run in that game. Tell us a little bit about his story and how he fits into this offense.
Yeah, unique story from Virginia, and been into 1AA powerhouses prior to here, and he wanted his MBA, which we have, which has kind of brought attention to us from him, and then we were able to kind of, get in his ear about Brockport and get him here. So he's a unique talent that he was a really good high school 5A quarterback in Virginia, but was transitioned to more of a safety at the 1AA level, and now he's back to quarterback here. And, we're going to look to get him going again this game in some short yardage and third down. He brings a level of athleticism plus power and toughness that we don't have. And so he's carving out a role for us.
Transitioning to that Susquehanna game, going into halftime, you find yourself down 20-7 back against the wall, and then 4-minute touchdown scoring drive coming out of the half. What does that response say about the resiliency of your group, as well as just the ability to adapt?
Encouraging. Because, on the contrary to that, you're disappointed we didn't come out in the first half like that, right? So, I don't know what the exact number is, but we couldn't have ran more than 15 plays in the first half. That's crazy. So certainly we needed to make some adjustments, and we went back to just day one. I'm talking the most simple of things that we do. And we came out clicking, and we came out fired up and marched down the field against a very good team. And, continued to play well in the second half. Certainly when he scored 2 touchdowns, and I think we had the ball 5 times. There were a few calls that went against us that were tough. That took away a drive or two, and we've gotten some clarification since then that probably shouldn't have been called, but doesn't help us now, But I love the energy level, the resilience, and it's very encouraging. Probably the most encouraged I've ever come out of a loss, which is saying a lot because I take them very hard.
Only 14 true rush attempts in that game for your offense, when really that's your guys' brand a bulk of the time. How was Susquehanna able to take that away, what you guys generally want to do?
Yeah, I think it just got us, we were behind a little bit, and that was one of the factors. And didn't think we were going to be able to churn out, 80-yard drives with a 15-play drive, getting those 5-6-yard runs. And we felt going into Saturday that our pass game was going to be successful. It started off slow. Certainly, Ben, I think, was 18 of 30, a little over 200 yards. I thought we could have been a little better, but from a multitude of reasons. But he played certainly really, really well down the stretch in that game. And again, I'm going to go back to the word encouraged because that's what we feel right now.
Here with Brockport Golden Eagles football head coach Jason Mangone. So I will ask you about Ben. Last year, he didn't throw more than 24 passes in a game, any game, and then he's done 25 against Buff State, and then, like you said, 30 against Susquehanna. We talked about this a few weeks back, but specifically from year 1 to 2 with Ben, what strides did he take that's opened up the playbook, if you will?
The one thing I always say is that when you come in as a freshman, there's a lot to kind of digest, not just from a offensive schematic perspective, but I'm in a different location. I'm living with somebody not in my house, right? I have a roommate now. Location's different. I'm going to class in college. I'm going from a build. There's a lot to digest for any freshman, let alone one that has the built-in pressure of a quarterback position. So guys as young players are just happy to play sometimes, right? You're just like, okay, I'm playing. And I'm not saying this was him, but sometimes the winning part is not always the absolute forefront, which is why from a coach's perspective, you probably never want to play a freshman or sophomore because they're happy to be on the team and happy to play. Whereas juniors and seniors are consumed with success because they've already been through stage 1, right? Well, as a quarterback, to take it to the next level, you have to learn everything. And there's so many caveats that go into this. So he went from probably knowing what we do to starting to understand why we do it. And it gives you an entirely different perspective. It makes the game go from fast to slow. You don't get better as a senior because you always just get stronger. You get better because you're smarter. And that's what he's doing. We're seeing the evolution of a guy that played a year ago. This game is when he started for the first time. So now he has a season this Saturday of starting. Well, the development of him from coaching him last year to this year is night and day because he now understands part of why we're doing this. Still has a long way to go, which everybody does, but he's really taking those steps to going, okay, rather than we're going to try to throw 14 and protect him, we can go out and throw 25 and be successful with it.
Now, with that, what is the advantage in your eyes for both you as a coach with a quarterback background and him as a developing quarterback for you two to have that close link with that background that you have working so closely together?
Yeah, I think the big thing is in between possessions, if we can talk quickly now about an adjustment rather than going, this is why we have to do it. He'll oftentimes make a mistake in practice and immediately go, oh, that's what I should have done. Whereas last year it was kind of look at me and go, okay, now let's talk it through, right? So just that alone is just light years ahead of being able to just transition in a game. Now we have the tablets. Probably haven't utilized them as much as maybe I had thought in the summer, but we certainly are using them. We had a play, for example, on Saturday that we probably could have hit in the first half. He now saw it, and then in the second half we hit it for like a 38-yard gain. We could have done that last year. And now it's going, hey, this is why we're running it. You understand that part. You may have missed it the first half. And I think he knew it. But now that he actually visually could see it, we go off and we can do it again. And we made a little adjust on how we got into the formation rather than just line up in exactly the same thing to try to give us a little different look with the defense. And now he's made that jump. So I think we're going to continue to see the evolution of Ben Gasella as we keep going because he is so darn smart.
Here with Brockport Golden Eagles football head coach Jason Mangone. Now, homecoming this weekend against Wilkes. You largely had your way with them last year, but in your eyes, what more do they bring to the table in 2024?
Well, the two things that are going to pop out is one, they're big, and two, they play physical. I think we left the field last year in what the score looks like a dominant performance, but I don't know if it was as dominant being there because they make you earn what you get, and they're tenacious. They play a lot of guys. They got some good athletes. I think offensively they bring everybody back but their center, which is impressive when you can have 10 returning starters. Now, they have a new head coach. They have a new offensive coordinator, so those things might be ironing out some things that way, but in terms of their personnel, and I think they've taken some upgrades at receiver. So they have 4 guys that I think can play, 3 that can take the top off. And then defensively, just about their entire D-line's back. They're all very stout, 275 to 260 range, and can play and can move. They play 4 different safeties. They played 3 different corners. Who knows who's going to line up? We'll be ready for all of them. But and then number 1 and number 97, I would say their outside backer and D tackle are the 2 best players on defense. So they're a physical, tough team.
Now, without turning our heads from Wilkes too much, we both know EA plays right around the corner after the bye next week. In your eyes, over these next 2 weeks, what are the biggest shortcomings of this Brockport team right now that you want to clean up come October?
Yeah, I think one is not the energy level from the jump, but the we got to get going faster. There's got to be more of an urgency. You can't wait till the second half or the second quarter to start performing at a high level. We only get 10 of these. We've already put ourselves in a hole at 1-on-1, right? Nothing's lost, certainly. But at the end of the day, our goal is to perform at a high level every single game, which hopefully leads to success at the end of the day. So finding a way from the jump to come out and play well. We did that against Buffalo State. We did not do that against Susquehanna. You can't play a top 10 team on the road that returned, I think, 19 starters, 17 of which who are seniors and grad students, and think you're going to go start slow and come out with a win. That doesn't happen. And the sad thing is we put ourselves 40 yards away from winning that football game. A lot of encouraging things to come out of that, but I think with anything going into these next games is the urgency has to be at an all-time level.
Thank you, Brockport Golden Eagles football head coach Jason Mangone.
Thanks for having me.